Hey there, this is David Paulides, and welcome back to the Mystery Rift channel. Thank you for joining me, because what we discuss here isn't easy, and it is certainly not something you'll find on the evening news. It is about the facts, the chilling facts of missing people under specific, truly baffling circumstances. Over the past few weeks, many of you have commented on the peculiar X-Files episode I asked you to examine. Now, let's turn our attention to one called 4D. In this chilling narrative, the agents discuss an almost unthinkable possibility, the concept of parallel universes. This isn't just science fiction, it's a terrifying possibility theoretical physicists have debated for decades. And it connects directly to our work. Hear the breakthrough that few are ready to hear. I've been very fortunate to meet federal agents and seasoned investigators who have been looking into these very same fringe topics. They are not looking at Bigfoot, they are looking at the mechanism of disappearance. When they finally do step forward, their testimony will essentially validate everything I've been talking about, proving that government agencies have known about this anomaly for decades. They are interested because these specific missing cases, these sudden vanishings, they offer insights that perfectly parallel the facts that we've collected over the years. So, to those who sit back, chuckle, and grin, claiming we are simply chasing ghosts, the evidence is mounting, and you are going to be forced to confront a very uncomfortable truth. We constantly get bombarded with misleading statistics, such as the claim of hundreds of thousands of people missing in the wilds of Alaska. Let me tell you right now, that number is a statistical fabrication designed to shock, not inform. If tens of thousands were actually missing, it would have decimated Alaska's small population years ago. The system is flawed. A teenager who runs away 10 times in a year and returns home counts as 10 separate missing person cases in the FBI's ledger. This inflation obscures the terrifying truth. The real, truly unusual cases that defy all logic and common sense, the ones we focus on, are less than 0.5% of the total reported. Our focus is strictly on that tiny, terrifying statistical anomaly. The vanishing that has no explanation. We are making progress, slowly, baby steps at a time. Because finally, people who deal with this reality every day, park rangers, police, and dedicated search professionals are coming forward to quietly validate the patterns we have exposed. Why are these specific disappearances so different? Why are bodies not found where standard search protocol dictates they should be? Why are search dogs often the gold standard of tracking, frequently rendered completely useless? We need to accept that the answers may lie outside the scientific method we currently understand. We must admit that there may be forces, entities, or dimensional influences at play that operate on rules we simply do not comprehend. The ancient concept of the Fae or the Shadow People may actually be a primitive understanding of interdimensional predators. And these next three cases perfectly illustrate that mysterious, terrifying reality. Let's begin with our first case, Charles Cherry. He was only 22 months old when he went missing on June 26, 1952, in Asheville, North Carolina, right on the doorstep of the Great Smoky Mountains. For every parent watching, I want you to remember how limited the mobility of a two-month-old truly is. Charles vanished while playing in his yard with his dog, Skippy. Skippy was known to be intensely protective and aggressive towards strangers, always barking, a warning, yet Charles disappeared without a sound. Searchers confirmed no footprints leading away from the yard. The K9 units, brought in almost immediately, could not pick up a single scent. Then, 22 hours later, the impossible happens. Charles simply walks out of the thick forest, right in front of the search teams, about 1.25 miles uphill from his home. He was barely clothed. His first words were simply, "Water and doggy." Here is the factual, unexplainable core. His father, a physician, examined his son's feet and officially stated that they do not match being in the wild for 22 hours. The scratches were minor, the distance traversed was impossible. How did a toddler walk 1.25 miles uphill through that kind of rugged brush? And the dog Skippy came running right behind him. The great anomaly, hundreds of searchers called his name, sweeping the area for hours. The dog never barked, and the boy was never seen until he was suddenly rematerialized in a spot where he could be instantly found. My hypothesis, based on the numerous parallels with other child disappearances, points toward a momentary, localized, dimensional shift. Charles stepped into an area of concentrated energy, was removed from our timeline, and was then ejected back into our reality. When the energy subsided, the lack of foot trauma and the dog's silence scream that he did not walk that distance in our physical world. Now, let's look at the archetype of the strong, intelligent, athletic young man who simply vanishes. Larry Amazic, 24 years old, missing July 9, 1959. 50 miles south of Juneau, Alaska. Larry was a highly capable athlete, a former co-captain for the University of Utah football team. He understood the dangers of the wilds. He took the afternoon off for a simple task, a 4-mile hike down a known creek bed to the beach. Despite his intelligence and experience, he never returned. Even after a massive, sustained effort, including a specialized canine team flown in from Oregon, his scent was quickly lost near the brush line. Zero sign of him. Despite searching that specific 4-mile strip repeatedly, what truly elevates this case to the 411 profile is the unsettling geographic marker. Larry was raised in Rock Springs, Wyoming. For those tracking my work, this location is emerging as a bizarre nexus point. Individuals raised near certain geographic anomalies seem statistically predisposed to disappear later in life in an entirely different state. Is it possible that whatever deep, resonant energy or ancient mechanism is active in these specific disappearance zones somehow targets individuals with a previous, perhaps generational, exposure to certain telluric or magnetic energy fields? It suggests a truly terrifying and sinister form of selection is taking place across the continent. Finally, let's go to the middle of the country. A statistical desert for missing 411 Ernest McClamant, 85 years old. Missing April 6, 1981. Northeast of Hunter, Kansas. Ernest was a healthy rancher who lived his entire life on the same property. He was in good spirits and had a specific, predictable routine. He drove into town for his weekly chores and was last seen leaving a friend's house after ordering hay. His truck was found abandoned 3 days later, over a mile away, parked on the top of a small bluff in the area called the Blue Hills. Why did this man, following a routine, abruptly drive his truck to an unusual high point? We have documented many cases where victims stopped their vehicle specifically to get a view of something unseen from the road. What impossible sight did Ernest witness from that knoll that caused him to abandon his life and his vehicle? The search was exhaustive. Canines tracked him to a pond. Then the scent led into a massive wheat field where the track simply vanished. The local community's immediate, terrifying conclusion was that he was abducted by aliens. This speaks volumes about the strangeness of the event. Here is the final unanswerable point when that field was harvested at the end of the season. Ernest's body was not found. He simply vanished from an open area of relatively flat land. It screams of a complete and instantaneous external removal. This vanishing from a wide open area in a low incident zone points directly to forces that operate outside of our dimension. Perhaps an unseen predator, a type of cloaked entity, as described in many early Native American accounts, initiated a snatch. Whatever the mechanism, It was efficient and left no trace. Much like the famous missing people of the Alaskan Triangle. 3 distinct cases, an impossible walk, an athletic vanishing linked to a previous location, and a complete removal from an open field. The terrifying common thread is the lack of physical evidence, the uselessness of search dogs, and the location near geographic anomalies. Remember, I am only feeding you the documented facts, not my opinion. Just the raw data of these unexplainable vanishings. We need your help to keep progressing and to bring these unsettling truths to light. If you have a story, an unusual encounter in the woods, or an anomalous event that defied all logic, I want to hear it. Please write to me directly at kanamising@yahoo.com. Give this video a thumbs up if you appreciate the research, and make sure you subscribe to Mystery Rift for more facts you won't hear anywhere else. Have a safe holiday season, and please be intensely aware when you are alone in the wilderness. Paulides out.